Welcome back to the Old Bull Young Calf Boston Sports Podcast. And we got some stuff to talk about today. There's not much in the news media, but we do have some Travis Hunter talk. Joe Milton traded. We're going to talk about some of the rumors around that. We also have Bruins, right? They called up one of their young guys that's been doing pretty well. We're going to talk about draft position, some games that are important coming up, and our thoughts on that. So, and if we fit any Celtics talk in because there's some stuff going on in the NBA, we why not? But before we get to that, Dad, do you want to hit us with the uh, sponsors?
Absolutely. If you need a therapist in the Pinellas Park area in Florida, William McCormick is your man. He is the best around. If you're looking for some yummy boba teas or some yummy pho, Moonlight Boba in St. Pete, Florida is the place to go. And my little cousin Abigail up in Grafton, Massachusetts, Sippin' Savior. That place is awesome. Great way to start your day with a protein shake. Matt, start us off.
Okay, so this is the turd in the punch bowl. The basically bad news. Adam Schefter is reported number one that Cam Ward is going first. At first, you're like, "Oh yes, that's awesome." So Cam Ward is going number one. The Titans, I think, canceled all their meetings with everybody else. They like Ward. They're going to go with Ward. The problem is now Schefter's reporting that Travis Hunter is going to be a Cleveland Brown after on draft day, and that was kind of our big ticket wish list item. Doesn't feel great to hear that. I don't exactly understand how he fits into the Cleveland Browns timeline, but I don't think they're going to pass up on a talented player like Travis Hunter. But how do you feel about that, Dad? What are your thoughts on that? From a Patriots perspective, and also, do you think that's the smart choice from the Browns, removing the bias of wanting Hunter, Dad?
Yeah, so Cleveland, they're similar to us. They have a lot of holes, except one thing. They have a gaping giant black hole at quarterback. I don't understand the move for them. I know that if I was a Cleveland Brown, I would absolutely want Shador Sanders, especially after the pro day he just had. And I know that an amazing pro day doesn't guarantee success, but I mean, what the heck? If you need a damn quarterback and you're in the top five of the NFL draft, you have to take the best available one. We saw that with Drake May last year, and we beat that drum. We don't care as long as it's Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May, as long as we get one of them. And sure enough, that looked like it's been a home run for us. And also the Washington Redskins, although the jury's still out on Caleb Williams for Chicago. So I don't know. Cleveland's going to take him. Mm, I don't like that for them. That sucks for us because we have the quarterback. We don't need, Sanders, and he would have been a perfect fit here because I'm hoping we get at least 2 good years out of Diggs, and we haven't touched on getting Stephon Diggs yet. Thank goodness we did now, especially holy cow. You imagine if we didn't sign him. So I'm hoping to get 2 to 3 years of number one wide receiver play from Diggs, and that would buy us some time to find like an heir apparent, like
Yeah,
another number one. But Travis Hunter would have been the guy. He would have been the guy to take over that number one wide receiver position. There probably would have been a year where both of them are really good. Diggs coming off the ACL on year number two. Usually that's when the player gets back to what they used to be. So Diggs in year number two, and then Travis Hunter with 2 years under, a year experience under his belt in his second year, that would have been an awesome wide receiver room. But
yeah,
unfortunately, that dream looks like it's dead.
yeah. And you know, I have a question for you about that, Dad, and just get in the mode of a Browns GM while I answer my own question here. It does suck overall that Travis Hunter is going to be gone. I mean, his route running has been criticized a little bit. He did run, I think, one route at the pro day, and it was very TikTok route runner esque, where like slow getting out of the break. He kind of was doing these fancy moves, some stuff to tighten up there. There's a lot of opportunity to grow for him, but I still wanted him as a wide receiver. No matter how raw he was, I think he's an incredibly talented player, and I think he's the no-brainer pick at 4. It does suck that we're drafting way back at 4, but from a Browns perspective, Dad, and this is why I asked you to put on your GM hat. So we're not Patriots fans right now. Okay, we are Cleveland Browns fans. You know Cam Ward is going at 1. You have the second overall pick. Deshaun Watson's out next season. You have Kenny Pickett at quarterback. What are you doing with that second round pick? I mean, everything that we're thinking right now is trade back, trade back, trade back as Patriots fans. But let's switch hats here. You're a Browns fan. What would you do from the GM perspective there? Do you stand pat and take Hunter? Do you try and trade back and get Sanders? I think it's clear as day you don't pick Sanders at 2. I think picking Sanders at 2 wouldn't be the play because it doesn't seem like the Giants want him unless that's all smoke and mirrors too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's good posturing by, some strategic, strategy, yeah, strategy there by Cleveland to move back a few spots, because the sweet spot for them would be basically, I guess, number 6, because there's no way the Patriots are taking Sanders. There's no way the Jaguars are taking Sanders. I mean, there's no way the Raiders are probably taking him now too. They just signed Geno Smith to a long-term,
Oh
3-year
yeah.
contract with real money. So, I'm hoping that's what that is. Maybe a possible move back to get someone to jump on the, Shedeur Sanders bandwagon at number 2. And then, now we have a chance again. But I don't know. I
What
would
would you
just, I
do?
would
What would you
be
do as a Browns fan? Would you rather them take Travis Hunter, or would you rather them trade back into the 5-6 uh, part and try and get Travis Hunter? I'm sorry, try and get Shadur.
I would definitely try to do that.
So
And
you wouldn't take Travis Hunter at 2 if you're a Browns fan.
not if I'm the Browns. Absolutely not. I just think that's stupid. I mean, again, what do we learn about today's NFL? You're going nowhere without a top 10 quarterback. That's all there is to it. You have to put a good team around them, but nobody wins a Super Bowl anymore unless you have a top 10 quarterback in the league. It's not 1980, it's not 1990 where you can get away with that. Even in early 2000, there was couple of bums who won some Super Bowls. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Look at all the Super Bowl winners going way back now. You don't have a top 10 NFL quarterback, you get nothing. You get
Yeah, it's not
0.
happening. And Scott, you're right. This is the most like posturing that can happen right now. Like you have the NFL draft coming up 2 weeks away. All these teams, everything goes out the window on draft night. Everyone's saying something's going to happen when it probably isn't going to happen. I mean, there was talk of Mac Jones going like number 2 overall back in the Trey Lance draft with the 49ers. And then, of course, he fell all the way to what, like 10, 12 with us. So there's so much of this could be smoke and mirrors. Schefter saying this makes me believe that Travis Hunter's gone early. But I think if you're a Browns fan, the number 2 overall pick is too valuable to take a wide receiver / corner when you don't have a quarterback. I think there's, the Dart kid, there's Sanders in this draft. There's a couple quarterbacks in this draft that you could take a, mid first round pick on and still get a, early round player in return for letting somebody climb up, maybe even the first next year, depending on how far you go back. I think that's the path for the Browns. If they take Hunter, then I mean, more power to him. But I don't know if I like that as a Browns fan.
Yeah, I mean, they better hope that somehow Deshaun Watson gets back to his old form. I mean, I guess if that happens, they're fine. Now they kept their, Garrett, what's his name? Miles Garrett, their elite pass rusher, and now they got a new shiny toy that they can play both on defense at corner to go with Ward and wide receiver. But again, if their quarterback's garbage, they're just going to be a middling team because Cleveland also they have a pretty good roster. I don't think they're going to be. I think the chances of them being in the top 5 again next year are probably slim. They're probably going to be around 500 because they do have that much talent on that roster. And that's the worst place to be. Now, if Cleveland's picking 14 next year and there's like two or three stud quarterbacks, guess what? You're not getting Cleveland. You're not getting one of them because you missed your opportunity to get him.
Yeah.
Am I a huge Shedeur Sanders guy? I'm not. But I mean, he looks, if he's not a top 5 quarterback, he's a top 10
Yeah.
quarterback. And I'm sorry, you take that guy. That's all there is to it. He could be Patrick Mahomes. Look where Patrick Mahomes went.
Well,
He didn't go number 1 overall. So I don't know. Good luck,
Yeah, and
Cleveland. Good luck
I
with
heard
Hunter.
he pats the ball before he throws. He pats the ball, and you don't want a quarterback who pats the ball. Some garbage. I mean that's how bad it is right now. Scott Johnson, guy is missing his stress relief. Yeah, I wonder. I
Oh, too soon,
no,
Scott.
I
Too
wonder
soon.
where like he just blew out his Achilles again. He had Achilles surgery on January 9th, Deshaun Watson. So Deshaun Watson probably is not coming back this year. I,
Oh, that's true. That's
Scott, I
right.
don't know
Yeah.
where he's telling
Yeah.
those masseuses to massage with the Achilles injury, but I wouldn't want to be anywhere near him during the rehab process. That's for sure. And I mean, his contract's up at the end of next year. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent. They've already admitted that Deshaun Watson contract was a mistake. I think the owners or somebody came out and said that from the Browns organization. But all right, let's say the Browns take Travis Hunter, right? Now you have Abdul Carter on the table. The Giants have Kevon Thibodeau, who is, a young guy who, is kind of going into a good defensive end. And then they have Brian Burns, the, all pro guy they took from Carolina Panthers. I don't know how they go Abdul Carter there. Do you? I mean, do you see a world as a Giants fan where you're happy with Abdul Carter going to that team?
I don't think they take Carter. I don't know what the heck they do there. The Giants would be in almost a worse position than us if they're another team that doesn't like Sanders. Because I want Abdul Carter. If we can't get Hunter, I want Abdul Carter to slip to us, not to take him. For other teams to be like, oh crap, Carter's still available. The Patriots are in the same boat as the Giants. They have their defensive ends. They don't need a defensive end, and they have glaring holes everywhere. So I'm hoping Carter, who is probably the best player in this draft, he's probably overall a better player than Travis Hunter because he's projected to be a future Hall of Fame pass rusher. I'm hoping the team goes, whoa, like Carter's still there, and the Patriots don't necessarily have a need for him. Let me give up more than we normally could, and maybe we get a haul. Maybe we actually not just get a second rounder this year, but a first next year. So if we can't get Hunter, I at least want Carter to fall to us at 4 because I think that gives us the best shot to not just trade back, but get a pretty good haul.
Yeah, and one good part about that entire topic is I don't know if you've seen this, right? The ball padding thing, but Darius Slayton just signed that contract to bring him back to the Giants, and Scott said take Carter for sure. I would like to see Carter. I would like to have a Micah Parsons level player on our team, Scott. It'd be a pleasure to watch somebody of that talent level every NFL Sunday because we could not create pressure last year. And I think this year it's going to be quite the opposite, especially if you add Carter to the mix. My dad doesn't like the amount of people in that defensive line room at that point, but maybe we can trade something, offload. We'll see. Add Keon White with one of those third round picks, maybe get up to the second round. I'm not too sure. Carter is such a freak with little experience. Scott, my dad. I don't know if Dad, did you watch the highlights I sent over on Carter? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Well, you were talking about
yeah,
struggling against the run and stuff, but he does fantastic against the run. Wicked smart rusher. He had so many tackles for losses again in the run game. I think you still think
yeah.
he'd be bad against the run?
Well, he did. No, I kind of misspoke there. What I really meant to say was I project him to struggle against the run because he's pretty undersized against NFL tackles. It's just not the same as college. Those guys are bigger, they're more agile, and they're better blockers, period. That's why they're in the NFL. So here's the thing, Scott. If you're gonna bring Carter in here, that gives us 5 pass rushers. If you want to play all 5 pass rushers at once, you're basically screaming to the other team that, hey, we're blitzing here. Because any rushing more than 4 is a blitz. So I suggested that, Matt, maybe trade if you're gonna take in Carter, trade Keon White, and hopefully, you can get a third rounder for him. He's a young, promising pass rusher. We gave up a second rounder for him. I wouldn't want to give him up and a third to get a second rounder. To me, that's not fair value. So it's just Carter. I mean, it's the one damn position on the team we have plenty of is pass rushers
Yeah.
now. And
I mean, we've always had
again,
ply
if you're
though.
gonna put all
I
five
mean,
of
I
them,
feel like there's
what's
we've
that?
always had plenty. I mean, like even last year we had Wise and Keon White and you know
Oh, why do the bomb? He's
I know,
not a
but
pass rusher. Get
but
out
we
of here
still
with that.
had guys, and so it's just like I feel like we've never had a blue chip edge rusher, right? We've had these guys who kind of overachieve and do well, but we've never had the Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa kind of guy that Abdul Carter might bring. So real quick, lots of double tap hitches for Sir Sanders. I click on the thing and now it's gonna mess me up, but Darius Slayton. I promise he can pat the ball and he'll be just fine if DBs are so good at breaking on the ball. Ball pats. They'd all have 8 picks a year. Same guys that fall for a 2-man dagger concept and give up the dig on a 3rd and long every season, all season long. Talking about ball pat. What a joke. So this, as a Patriots fan, is great for me because not only is he
Mm.
standing up for the guy, it seems like there's some level of confidence in playing with him. And the Giants just signed him to a big contract. So if you're the Giants GMs, hopefully you're watching this and you're maybe saying this might not be a bad deal. So Jeff, we're thick in the thick of Patriots talk, Jeff. I don't know too much else to talk about right now. We are going to touch on the Bruins here in a second. If you want to talk about Bruins, Celtics, anything, you could certainly bring that up and we can circle there. But yeah, I mean, if go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, it's something I want to start bringing up at the beginning of the show, and that's, guys, we're Boston Sports Talk. If we're on the subject of the Patriots, Bruins, feel free to change it up. We can always from the Bruins, bounce back to the Patriots. I don't want viewers to be like, oh man, they're talking about the Celtics. I'm not into the Celtics and turn us off. If you want to talk Bruins, let us know in the chat. We'll go from Celtics to Bruins. We'll go from Bruins to Patriots. So, guys, we're free to talk about whatever you want, and we'll bounce back. Don't get discouraged if we're talking Pats and someone brings up Bruins. We start discussing Bruins. We'll bounce back to the Pats. Just throw it in the comments and let us know your question or comment about the other team, and we'll jump to them.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially like I wish somebody was a big Celtics fan because the Celtics are so freaking fun to talk about right now.
They're coming out. You know
I
they're
don't
coming
know.
out,
Like
Matt, in a couple of weeks when the playoffs
nobody brings
start.
up the Celtics for us. Nobody wants to talk about them. They're such a pleasure right now, breaking record after record. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers looking more and more human against certain teams. You got the Oklahoma City Thunder. When they get a playoff whistle, really struggling. Which is what my prediction is. They're not going to be able to compete. The West is a bloodbath. I mean, talk about parity. The NBA does it better than anybody else right now. Scott, you're a Celtics fan. I love to hear it, Scott. What are your thoughts on the Celtics? Any takes? Anything that you've read in the news? 3-ball champs. They I think they said they had more 23-point field goal makes in a game in total this season than the 2023 Warriors or something crazy like that. So,
And Jeff,
go ahead.
I want to ask real quick. What spot are the Detroit Lions picking in? And I think they're in the 20s.
I think 25,
And if
24.
that's the case, I think 25, 20. What would you accept to jump all the way up to number 4? What would, like, if we were to move back that far, what would you give up to get that number 4 pick? I'm just curious, Jeff, if you want to
They
throw it in the
just need
chat.
to stay healthy, Scott.
Yeah,
Scott, I will take the Celtics against any of these
that's it.
teams, any of these chumps,
Knock on
if
wood.
they're healthy.
Knock
I
on
mean,
wood.
Jalen Brown, Scott, I don't know if you've heard anything about that. They swear up and down that he's not playing for the All Pro and that he's going to be okay. But there's also talk that he might have a procedure before the playoffs, which is no good. They're doing a great job of rotating the lineups. I mean, everybody should have pretty good confidence of playing with everybody. Hauser's looking great. He's shooting like 50% from 3 in the last month or so, which is everything we need there. And Cornette, I mean, he's playing. He bet on himself this year, right? He took that 1-year vet min deal, and I guarantee you, he's probably going to get 10 plus million in the offseason for someone as a backup center or starting center.
Yeah, we've been saying it since the beginning of last year, Matt. Injuries are the only thing stopping this team. Nobody is beating this team if the Celtics are healthy. Last year proved it. I understand that there's a couple of juggernautish looking teams this year in OKC and Cleveland, and they do. They look great. They beat the Celtics in the regular season. I am telling you now, full strength, full lineup for the Celtics, trying on defense for 48 minutes, not happening for them. Those other teams, they are not beating the Celtics. That's all there is to it. So it's a matter of, is Jaylen Brown's knee right? Can Porzingis stay healthy throughout these playoffs? Because I do feel like we need Porzingis this playoffs. I don't think, hey, I'm honest, Matt. You know that people, the easy road narrative for the Celtics last year. I agree with him. Celtics did have an easy road. They got some luck, but you know what? The Celtics stayed healthy. Okay, they did what it
Except
took to
Porzingis.
stay
Yeah.
healthy. They load manage. They load managed. They played smart. They stayed healthy. Knock on wood. So that's part of the journey.
Yeah.
You got to stay healthy. They got some breaks. Other teams get injuries, but oh well. That's how it
Yep. And I
works.
will say, so he talked about the rookie looks like a diamond in the rough. That guy is like Rajon Shireman with these passes. Absolutely fun to
Yeah,
watch. I don't think he gets any.
he did the
Yeah.
fake and he wrapped
I
it
don't think he
around.
gets
It was
any
pretty
play
good.
time
Nick
in the
Khan did.
playoffs, like whatsoever, like any actual play time.
Yeah.
But the Celtics did what the Heat have been doing for so long, where they draft these older rookies and they come in. That guy's 24 years old. Like, I mean, he's not like a young kid. So almost immediately adding some value. So Jeff, this is the tough thing about the old bull, right? When he goes into producer mode, he asks these crazy questions. So what he just asked you is how many of your picks this year, next year, or the year following would you give up to get to the fourth overall pick from? So we swapped spots. We picked 28th, you picked fourth. The problem is, Dad, you didn't tell him who's available. Who's available?
Okay, no, so I was going to. I just want to know where he's picking first. 28, too
Too far
far
back,
back.
Jeff.
I don't feel like we're gonna get. I don't feel like we're gonna get one of the three left tackles I want within 28. So I was gonna ask if you were like low 20s, Jeff. I was gonna ask, would you be willing to give up your second rounder? I mean, your first rounder this year, second, and your first rounder next year, and a third rounder this year. So your first this year, your first next year, and a third this year to move up to the fourth overall spot to get Abdul Carter. That's what I was
Yeah,
asking.
the Lions pretty much have every pick. They've really built a good team out there. I mean,
Oh,
like
they have.
he just sent us all their picks. They got their first, second, third, fourth. They're just missing their fifth, and they have a sixth and two sevenths. I mean, really did a great job of drafting. That GM knows his stuff. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, Shireman's definitely electric. Jaylen Brown, great games, and Scal said it on the broadcast, but the Suns are such a great team for this to play because they almost play no defense, and I feel like it's a good kind of shake the rust off, get a feel for yourself when you play against the Suns and then the Wizards. So Jaylen Brown having some big games against some pretty sucky teams, but I mean I'm happy about that. 50% from three. This regular season he hasn't shot well from three. 32.6%. That's 3.3% down from his career average, but past two games he's picked it up 50%, 75%, and you know we handled business. And the Phoenix Suns are really they're trying for a spot. I would love for them to shut down Jaylen Brown until the playoffs, though. As a Pats fan, I'd rather take the player. I'd rather take the player too, Scott, especially if Abdul Carter comes. But if Hunter Carter are gone, Scott, we got to trade that pick. I mean, there's just no reason to take one of these tackles that high. See what else we can get. If we can get maybe another third round pick to move back four or five spots, I would do it, and then try and get back into the first round with that pick. Maybe do something sneaky. One thing is the Vikings have no third or second round pick or something like that. So they're I think going to probably be looking to take that first round pick and turn it into a second and third. And I would be so down to do that. You'd get ahead of the Chiefs. You'd get ahead of the Bills. All these teams, that you're kind of your rivals. But yeah, go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, I that's definitely a team to consider trading back for. And Scott, I'm fine with Abdul Carter. I just want to see Keon White traded with a decent return. I don't want to give up that kid for like a fifth, sixth, seventh round pick. I want like at least a third round pick for him, a top 100 pick, and I'm cool with that. If we, I don't, I just don't want Abdul Carter if because we've already invested in Landry for 3 more years. That's like real money. He's a variable guy. Landry's staying. So Carter, I just again to have our five best defensive linemen on the field tells the other team we're blitzing because a blitz is more than four people on a pass rush, and you can't just give away your cards over there. Meaning, we're going to have a guy on the sideline. One of those five are going to be on the sideline at all times, unless it's third and long, and we're obviously bringing five guys, and we don't care if the other team knows. So I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? Abdul Carter is going to be a generational pass rusher. So, I don't mean to complain about it,
Yeah.
but, we got to get Keon White out of town for a decent return. That's my opinion
Yeah.
on that. So, but yeah, Scott, playing time does matter. The Celtics proved it last year. They're doing an even better job of load managing this year, Scott, as far as I'm concerned. Tatum's actually sitting some games. Brown sat a lot. They're even sitting Holiday, making Derek White, who never sits out, making him sits out games here and there. Porzingis, they can't sit enough as far as I'm concerned. I would not play him another regular season game. If I had my way, they wouldn't play anybody the rest of the regular season and just use the first round to break off the rust. Because it doesn't matter if it's Chicago or Orlando, they're not losing to those teams, to either one of those teams.
Yep. No, I completely agree. So we got a few more things. Jeff doesn't even know what his team needs. Must be nice, Jeff, because I can tell you too many freaking things my team needs. Okay. Don't ask about the lines. He just rubs it in. It's ridiculous.
What about Hutchinson and Abdul
Hut,
Carter, though? Talk
yeah.
about bookend pass
Hutchinson just
rushes.
posted a video of him sprinting after like breaking his leg in half last year. Playing time matters for sure. Compensation needs to make sense. I agree, Scott. If we're going to trade, we have to do something that makes sense. And I agree, it's overloading the spot. He is definitely the best available, and he's the best available at one of those premium positions. The old bull always preaches, right? You got to stop the pass or
Yep.
generate pass, right? And he stops the pass and then some. So, real quick,
Yep.
I know we're bouncing around here, and I love it and it also gives us the opportunity to talk about the Celtics a little bit. The Celtics right now are the second seed, so again, they'll play the best team to come out of the 7 and 8 matchup. So either the Magic or the Hawks, right? Both those guys, tough matchups. The Hawks did get rid of DeAndre Hunter. That's one of their better defenders, right? They don't have Jawante Murray, who gave us nightmares last year towards the end of the year. So that's not a bad matchup for us. And then, of course, the Magic don't have, the Wagner older brother or the annoying brother, right? They have some shot makers, but nothing too crazy. So I'm not too afraid of that. And then we would probably face the winner. We would then face the winner of the Knicks and Pistons. So from my standpoint, I don't know about you, Dad, but I'd actually be more afraid of the Pistons than that Knicks team.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna be rooting for the Knicks because they are you know what, the B word. That's who they are. We own that team. And Detroit, they're just that scrappy team that they're not going to beat us in a 7 game series, but they could injure us because they got one of the dirtiest players in the game in Cam Stewart, and they just
Isaiah
fly
Stewart,
around like
yeah.
crazy people. And Isaiah Stewart, whatever his name is. So yeah, I want nothing to do with that team. I'll be rooting for the Knicks in the first round, so we draw them in the second. Nobody else, Matt. I don't fear Orlando. I don't fear Atlanta at all. That's going to
Yeah.
be, I mean, 5 games at best, most likely a sweep.
Yeah. I mean,
So
and then you
yeah,
have the Cavaliers, right? So they're going to probably end up having to face either the Bulls, Heat, or one of the Hawks and Magic, right? And I mean, the Bulls just beat them pretty bad. Levine, not wasn't the Bulls. I'm sorry, that was I saw Levine put up like 37 on their head, and I thought he was still in the Bulls. I actually don't know if they beat the Bulls, so I retract that information. But they're not going to have too easy of a matchup in that first round. But their second round matchup, they had the Pacers and the Bucks. And Lillard's out right now, which is a big piece. So if Lillard comes back for that second round matchup, and you got to face Giannis, I feel like Giannis Lillard, you know, Lopez, Portis, that team is much scarier than the Knicks or the Pistons. So I think if you're in the number 1 seed, I think you're in a precarious spot.
Yeah, it's not ideal for them. I mean, the only advantage they're going to get is if they play the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals and they have home court, which I don't think I think is basically nullified because, as we were always saying, the Celtics are the road killers. So, um, let's see. But we do. Hutch is a beast. Yep, he was a motorcycle crash.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hutchinson is a
Hutchinson's just
beast.
not a
He's
physical
just a
specimen like you,
that's a
Jeff.
grown
You know,
man.
he doesn't have the recovery
Yeah,
time of Jeff Unknown. You know, I'm sure you guys
yeah,
traded some like rehab tips on Twitter. You let Hutchinson know how you recovered like a good Lions fan. I'm sure he listened. Not afraid of either team. I'm not afraid of any of these teams. I'm just saying I think this Cavaliers
yeah,
team could be exposed. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose in the second round to either the Pacers or the Bucks. I think both those teams have a bunch of really hard nosed like winners, especially the Pacers. I think the Pacers are a sneaky team. They gave us fits last year.
yeah. And touch on the Bruins too. I know Scott and Jeff, you guys have. I mean, they're kind of doing what we want. They call Lysel up, but what do? They give him minimum minutes, and they even like sat him for one game. They call Minton up. Again, playing him on third, fourth line with bums, not giving real time on ice. Like I don't. What is the strategy here? Are we still trying to win games? Like, why in the world aren't our two of our four top offensive prospects not getting first line minutes or at least second line minutes and some power play time? What the hell are the Bruins doing? And then they go ahead and they beat Carolina, like a game I was counting on them losing, an awful win that hurts our chances of getting the number 4 pick. Like, that's in serious danger now because the Flyers have a tough schedule the rest of the way. They might not win another game. And that means if the Bruins win one more game or tie one more game, that's it. We're bumped down to
Yeah,
fifth.
and Jeff, real quick,
Absolutely
one
smart.
real quick, Jeff. One of those students is wearing a 17 times champ to school, and she's probably complaining that repeating. She'll need a 19 time shirt if she's right. Yeah, there's no point in buying 18 because
Yeah.
there's a really good chance she's gonna need 19. So I get it.
Like
I
that's
like her attitude.
yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and I don't think she's that wrong. Bruins should be in full tank. They are brutal to watch. I cannot believe we beat that Carolina Panthers team. I don't know if they were trying to help Pasta like get to that 40 goal mark. And now he's like the third Bruin to do it in so many seasons. So congratulations there. But I mean,
There's a crap about that. Give me a damn break. And it's more proof that Sweeney doesn't know how to develop young players. How does he not say to Sacco, listen, dude, I know you're probably trying to coach for a job here. Let's not worry about the offseason. You want to keep your job for the rest of this season? Play Lysel in Minton top minutes. I want to see what the hell they have. And Patras and Merkelov should be up here as well. Again, playing top minutes. It should be really, you know, bump Zaka, one of those guys down and play Pasternak, anyone like and who God Geeky. I guess I have to keep Geeky up because he's a scorer this year. Just play them top 6 minutes on either line number 1 or number 2 to see what we have. There's 4 games left in the damn season. You already eliminated from the playoffs. What are we doing here?
no, I completely agree. And I mean, you risk long term injury for guys like Pasternak as we're at the end of the year. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like any of it. I will say, we at this point we're one game ahead of basically everybody else who's around us in the points bracket. We are fourth. If we don't win any games, it looks like we are gonna finish lower than the Flyers. I'm guessing the Flyers maybe won more games than us. I don't think we have a good grasp of the tiebreakers for NHL like we did for the NFL, but we're tied with points. And
No, Matt, they had the tiebreaker against us because there was before the last Bruins lost, they had the exact same record, ties, games play, and all that stuff, and they had Philadelphia lower in the standings. That means they have the tiebreakers. So we finished with the exact same record. We're screwed.
okay,
They
so
finished
so so,
in a better
so right
lottery
now
position
they're above us in the standings because we've just played more games, I imagine.
because we have one more game played than
Okay.
them. Yes, we have one more game played.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, no, they have a better. If we finished with the exact same record, they are better as far as getting a better lottery position.
Okay. There you go. Jasmine is quite upset with the Bruins. She's inconsolable. Yeah, I mean, it's bad TV. And Jeff, I don't know what it's like to watch the Bruins up in Toronto, but it like costs so much money for me to watch the Bruins, and I don't know how I can legit like realistically pay money. So I end up just watching a bunch of illegal streams, sue me, but I can't. It's not even worth watching on my big screen. I just watch an illegal screen on my phone because the product they're putting out there is just like the Bruins is so embarrassingly bad. I mean, imagine if we were in the running for the playoffs this year and we drop a 3-goal lead to the to that team, like last week. It's such a frustrating team. They did beat the what's it called? The Hurricanes, but didn't the Hurricanes like crush us in shots that game too? Like they were kind of driving the play as well.
I don't
Gotta
know. It
double
was a
check that.
terrible win for the Bruins. Absolutely terrible win. They were in great position
Yeah.
until they go and beat like one of the top teams in the league. It's like again, Sacco coaching for wins. What the hell are we doing here? We need to coach to tank. We need to coach to get Lysel and Minten some experience while they're up with the big club. But nope, he's playing his top line, top minutes, and all that stuff. Still trying to, you know, get the second line to produce, and he's burying Lysel and Minton. It makes no freaking sense what they're doing. Like this Sacco's delusional if he thinks the Bruins are hiring him as a coach next year. Like you talk about like the fans revolting if that would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's 40 shots to 26 against Carolina. It looks like the face-off percentage was also in Carolina's favor. I don't know how the frick we ended up losing that game. It's hard to be a Bruins fan up here. I can't imagine, Jeff, what you go through. So many obnoxious Leafs fans giving me a hard time about how bad we are. One thing I will say, Jeff, is hopefully you can rest in the fact and you can remind them that, yeah, we suck, but we're sucking right. Like I'd rather this than get my doors blown off in round one. Like the Leafs are probably going to get blown, their doors blown off. We might actually get some high level talent. And, I know Kurt's been in here saying we don't want Marner, but I've been hearing it more and more on sports talk radio and different podcasts. I don't mind Mitch Marner on this team, with Pastrnak on a top line with, a solid center. Like maybe that's not too impalatable when you consider the amount of cap space we're going to have. So I don't know. That might be a pretty good product.
I was lobbying to trade Marchand from Marner last offseason. You remember that? How I said just get some new blood in here. Get a
Yep.
guy who is, before that Marchand was kind of comparable with Marner as far as scoring went. I said, don't give away our top guys for nothing. If you're giving away a guy who gets 30 goals a year, get back another guy who gets around 30 goals a year or is an 80-point a year player. I wanted that trade. I wanted Marchand for Marner back last offseason, which Toronto might have done because, they were just hitting a wall every year in the playoffs. And, Marner is actually frowned upon by a lot of Leafs fans. They think he's soft and all that. But all I know is he's young, he's offensively talented, and I don't care. I would have rather have had him than Marchand. And sure enough, look at the year both of them had. Marner
Yeah.
had a much better year.
So it looks like Marner plays right wing, and that's the same thing as Pastrnak. So maybe that's not the play there.
Well,
But
play him on the second line.
he, this year he has 94 points, 70 assists, 24 goals. I mean,
Yeah, what,
and
wouldn't want
there's
that.
not. We're gonna have a hard time getting much better than that. Talking about that tank, Jeff, and this is where it gets tough. I was trying to explain to my class that we want to lose in order to get a better forward, and it's really hard. It's something I'll not like. I don't anticipate explaining to my son for a long time,
Yeah,
right? Because I don't want him to think that way. But
yeah,
what the logic is, it's good to lose. We really need this. The talent pool at the top of this draft is very impressive. I've watched different highlight reels on the different draft picks. We're going to have to put some quality time into that as the draft show comes. We might do one of those live draft simulators that we did for the NFL for the NHL. So put my dad on the spot. Maybe we'll have you on, Jeff. We'll get task you with some hockey scouting department. My dad will have his whole scouting team on the podcast, and we could talk about what happens if so and so goes to this point, that point, and get you guys' takes on it, because there's like 7 really good players in this draft, and I think no, like I don't think there's a single like McKinnon or McDavid, but there's 7 like good players, like high level players, and 4 of those are centers, and that's exactly what we need within this organization is a high level center talent. Um, so that's all going to be super exciting, but it just kind of has to get here, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all I know is there's 4 top-notch centers, and supposedly the best player in the draft is a defenseman. Oh, that's even better. He goes before us. That's another shot at, at the center field, which we absolutely are decimating. We
Jeff,
need really bad. So
Jeff, you have a
all that's
classroom
lining
full
up.
of kids. Like, just assign a prospect to each kid and tell them you want a full book report on every single kid. Boom. That's all you need.
Yeah. So Matt, what did you think of the Stephon Diggs signing? Because I never get a chance to. I mean, you excited about it? Are you like, it's okay? Or I mean, what do you think?
I am over the moon about Stephon Diggs. I mean, from a aggressive standpoint, I don't think there was much else out there, and I think that Stephon Diggs is the exactly kind of guy that you want in the wide receiver position because he brings that edge. Everyone talks about how he's kind of a piece of garbage, but he's really not a piece of garbage in the way that should trouble you, right? He's just a
No, don't.
diva, right? He's
No.
a dink. He wants the ball. He wants
Like every
the
receiver.
which is nice, right? Like he wants this, the spotlight on him. The thing is that the difference between Stephon Diggs saying he wants the ball and get ready, and Javon Baker saying, if you're in a wheelchair, get ready to stand up, is the fact that Javon Baker sucks and Stephon Diggs will actually make people in wheelchairs stand up because he could actually make catches. I mean, how many times do we get burned? I think Stephon Diggs gives this entire Patriots offense a facelift, and I think he's going to bring a level of work ethic to that wide receiver room that really hasn't been there. And he's going to open up some things for Pop Douglas. Maybe Booty can learn a thing or two. And I think that Diggs is going to have even more of a fire under him going against the Buffalo Bills. And, I think that it also might be a tipping point in our season mentally, because if we lose to the Bills and, or if, Diggs plays him and he doesn't play well, then who knows, he might blow up, lose his mind. But at the same time, I it'll be because he cares a lot. So I absolutely love it. And I think it was definitely the player we had to go to. I think he was the best wide receiver available this offseason, in my opinion, outside of, maybe Devontae Adams, maybe.
Yeah, no, I'd still would have rather have had Devontae Adams or even DK Metcalf just because of the age, how much
Yeah,
younger
I
he
mean,
is.
like free agency wise,
Yeah,
DK Metcalf is a different story, but yeah, I mean, Adams probably is a better choice. But at the same time, I also know Adams, yeah. Go ahead, Dad. Go ahead.
it's how as far as I feel about Diggs is I would have liked the signing if it was a typical ACL recovery, right? Probably going to be back, week 6 to week 8, like halfway through the year. The fact that he legit looks so ahead of schedule makes me love the signing. I mean, Adrian Peterson did it once. He came back after 8 months and looked like himself. I don't know. Could Diggs pull that off? I don't know. But he's off to a damn great start. You see these videos, he doesn't look like a man who just had ACL surgery back in October. That's for sure. So it would have been a situation where I'm like, yeah, I like it. It's going to be torture waiting for like week 6 to week 8 to get him back on the damn field. But the fact that he has a legit shot of being there week 1 makes me love the deal. Absolutely love it. Don't care about diva wide receiver crap. Stop saying that, people. All the great receivers want the ball, demand the ball, throw a little hissy fit once in a while. The only one who never did that really was freaking Larry Fitzgerald. And those guys don't come along, period. If you look at every other receiver, they had their damn diva moments. Okay. So, and keep in mind, social media wasn't around back when Jerry Rice played, Calvin Johnson played, all those guys played. If it was, believe me, you would have saw their diva moments from stuff they would have posted online. They just didn't do it back then. So cut the crap with that. Get some friggin' talent in here. That's all there is to it. He's not like a scumbag like Tyreek Hill or anything like that.
Yep. And I, I agree. And I think he's going to show up this. I think it's going to be the best wide receiver that Drake May has ever thrown to in his entire life. He wasn't Mac Jones, right? Or who was throwing to, a bunch of these great Alabama receivers. I think he is going to hopefully shine with a wide receiver like Stephon Diggs you know, on his offensive side of the field. Would you want Micah Parsons if he could get him?
I
The thing
mean, isn't that who Abdul Carter is?
I mean, yes and no, right? Like, I think if you could get Micah Parsons and you can sign him to a long term contract, then you know the only hope that you would have for Abdul Carter is that he might end up being at least 75% of what Micah Parsons is. Micah Parsons is legit. He's a game wrecker. He is, he's a psychopath too, right? Like he loves football. He's like, I'll play football on concrete. Um, I wouldn't mind Micah Parsons at all, and I think he's going to make a stamp on the NFL. I just don't think there's any way we'd get him. Um, there was talks like they might trade, what's his name, like Dak Prescott. There's so much stuff in the news cycle right now, but Michael Parsons, sure, bring him down. We'll pay him. We have the cap space, but I guess I don't see it happening.
Yeah, we take our number 4 pick. I mean, I don't know. Abdul Carter, with all the hype, he better be Micah Parsons. He better not be 75%, Matt. That'd be a huge letdown. He better be like 95% Parsons. You take him fourth overall. He's supposed to be the most talented player in this draft. Uh, I mean, I'd be disappointed if we get Abdul Carter. I expect him to be Micah Parsons, basically, maybe a smidge less. He better be, otherwise I'd be pissed.
I'll have to look at what Micah Parsons like stats are, but I understand he's been like all in, all pro, numerous seasons, 12 sacks last year, 14 the year before. Whenever he faces the Patriots, you're always taking a look at him to see if where he's at on the field, and usually he has multiple guys on him. But yeah, I mean, it would just be nice to have our own Micah Parsons. Have a guy that other people look at and say, "Wow, that guy's super talented." Because right now, if you look at the Patriots, I don't think there's a single guy the average NFL fan could say like this guy's amazing. Maybe Christian Gonzalez, but I don't even know. Like here's Christian Gonzalez, like he's so quiet and reserved that you don't see him in the news cycle too much. But other than that, I mean, we don't have those exciting players for people to talk about. So hopefully we can get
Matt,
that.
now, not to bring up a sore subject, any change of heart whatsoever now that we found out that the T Rex left tackle does in fact have 33-inch length arms? Because I guess it's fact now. The combine measurements were off for like everyone basically. Like everybody was shorted. The guy who did the measuring, he must have just didn't know where to put the damn tape measure, I guess, because it's been confirmed now that those measurements were off. And T Rex left tackle wasn't in fact 32 and 5/8. He is actually 33 inches. Do you feel any differently?
I feel actually probably worse about him because his wingspan is so bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I think at this like I think we talked about it last week, Dad, that if he like hugged Jackson, he would have like this much space on Jackson's back because he couldn't even wrap his arms around Jackson, my 7-year-old son. Like you need width in the NFL. So he on top of the arm length thing, he's one of the most narrow tackles like in like the draft history or something crazy like that. His shoulders are narrow. You just can't have that. So this is a random question. Is there a reason why the Patriots are called New England instead of the Boston Patriots? Is it because they represent the entire New England area? That has to be it, Jeff. I don't know the history of it. And, Jeff, a small little anecdote to that. When I was first dating my wife, um, her dad, was asking me, just questions like casually, whatever. And I mentioned that I'm very, passionate about football. Like I know a lot about football. If you ask me things about football, I'll be able to tell you pretty much anything. You could ask me. I was doing fantasy football at the time. I knew most of the players and most of the teams, blah, blah. So then he looks at me and he says, "When was football invented?" And I was like, well, I don't know that about football. So I think a similar answer, Jeff. I know pretty much everything about the New England Patriots, especially their current team, and going back at this point, 20 years. but I don't know a freaking thing about why they're
Sure.
called Boston Patriots. Do you know, Dad?
They were originally called the Boston Patriots, but then they moved to Foxborough, and I think it was the thing with Sullivan, the old owner. He wanted to change to New England. I don't know for certain. I do know that Boston Patriots did exist at one time, and why they changed the name. I mean, I just know they moved to Foxborough, the old Schaefer Stadium, that dump. So I
71 they
think that had
changed.
something to do with it. What's
Yeah,
that?
71 they changed to the New England Patriots, and like you said, it was because they wanted to represent the entire New England region with the
Yeah,
move from out of Boston. And
yeah.
Jeff, I think that brings up something else, right? Talking about the stadiums, it looks like Wick Bros Grosbeck said explicitly that there's room for one stadium in Boston. So with these new owners that are coming, there will be no Celtic Stadium, as far as I'm
Mm.
aware. Does that disappoint you in any way, Dad? Did you want a Celtics stadium? Do you care at all? Was it like, nothing you even thought about?
Oh, and I would love that because I feel like that would help with the long-term investment these new owners have in the Celtics. As far as you know, that's one of the drawbacks is the Celtics don't own TD Garden. So they don't make as much money as other owners in pro sports who own the arena as well. So that might be that might make these new owners hesitant to pay these luxury taxes from us, our payroll being so high. I mean, it's as simple as that. Whereas if they knew, okay, 3 years from now, we're gonna have our own arena and we're gonna bring in all that money's gonna be ours. Okay, we're gonna lose some money at first, paying this 200 million penalty tax for having such an expensive roster for a couple of years, but we're gonna make that back, no problem. Now, it's a legit concern, and I don't know. My dream of this deal falling through and Pags coming in to the rescue to save the Celtics and pay those luxury taxes. It looks, I don't know. There hasn't been any talk about the deal falling through, so I don't know if that's even possible now. But I just, I'm not crazy about this new ownership and their financial situation. And are they going to be cool with having a $500 million payroll for a few years?
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, we're 52 minutes in. Things are going to be changing a lot in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have more and more to talk about as it comes. Any other topics? Oh, wait. I was blown away by how cool the TD Garden is. This is from Jeff when I was down there. Fun fact, TD Bank actually stands for Toronto Dominion Bank. There's some, I did not know that, Jeff. Look at
Well,
you, Jeff, with the factoids.
is it? Damn.
Get the heck out of here. There you go.
Is that why the Bruins have such a hard time winning championships? They got a little bit of that Leafs DNA from
Oh,
that.
yeah. They need to change
Oh
the
man,
name.
I don't know if I
Toronto
like that.
Dominion. Get the frick
You
out
know,
of here.
let me tell you, the Bruins, we're not any better than Toronto. I'm sorry, Bruins fans. We
It
won
is a
one cup
Canadian
in over
bank.
50 years, okay? And it took a goaltender absolutely standing on his head and everything to fall into place. A couple miracle saves by Zdeno Chara and I think what the heck, Tocchet during that year. So don't Bruins fans don't act like you're better than Toronto, okay? One freaking cup in over 50 years. All
Yeah.
right.
I
Pisses
looked it
me
up,
off the way they
Jeff. I'm
run this
sorry.
team.
I didn't trust you, but I looked it up, and you are 100% right. It's a nice little anecdote. That's Mr. Unknown's factoid of the day. Thank you, Jeff, for ending the podcast with that. Anything else, Dad, you want to say? Talk about?
Very impressive there, Jeff. No, I think we got it covered. I don't
All
know.
right.
I'm good.
All right. I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. Thanks for starting your week with us, and it's a good chat. We'll have plenty more to talk about. See you guys later. Bye bye.
Take care, everyone.